I'm Terry Redknapp here. You're listening to a proper podcast. It's the Alan Hudson podcast. It's proper football, proper talk.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the Alan Hudson podcast. Thanks very much for joining us. We've had a little bit of break from the podcast, but we're back. All systems going, all systems firing. We've got a terrific guest with us today. It's Bobby Gould, of course. Much travel, former footballer, former manager. We're going to say hello to Bobby in just 1 second. Firstly, Alan's going to give you all a little reminder about subscriptions. So over to you, Alan.
That's the only reason you want me on the podcast, isn't it?
That's the only reason I want you on the podcast.
Well, while you're on YouTube, just please subscribe so we can keep doing these, and then I can keep coming away on holiday. I'm in Marbella at the moment. If you keep doing that, I'll come away again. So please, press the subscription, isn't it?
The subscribe button. Many thanks.
I'm on vacation.
Great to
have Bobby on.
It is. Bobby, welcome to the podcast.
Is he on holiday? Good on you, pal.
How are you?
That's a goodie, that is. Anyway, so yeah,
you're so important, Bobby.
It's been really hard to get into this situation, but hopefully we can make the best of the show as we know it. Alan was in the show. I was in a show, but that big ball. I've got one here. Did you know that?
I know. Well, show the people.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna.
Because it's the only hat trick you ever got.
There it is. There it is. And that's the ball where Wolverhampton Wanderers will beat Manchester United, and yours truly scored a hat trick, and that's the ball. The referee threw it to me when we were walking on the tunnel.
What year was that then, Bob?
What year was that? We're talking about 1969 now.
Okay.
So I was at Coventry, and I went to Arsenal for 90,000 in 1967. And that good lady that is attached to me was attached to me then, and it's 58 years of marriage.
Well, if it wasn't your good lady, you wouldn't be on here today, because you ain't got the intelligence to put something on. We've had to wait 3 days. I've made 3 different air flights while you've been doing this.
Yeah, but there are some brain people about, and I'm not one of them.
But listen, the podcast is all about. It ain't about Chelsea, because she was in Chelsea. We'll come to that a bit later. But he's a big Chelsea supporter. I'm not. I'm not a lover of this club. But it's great to have you on. And I mean, I know you've been all around the world playing and managing and all that. But I was in America when you was at Chelsea. Because Tony loves Chelsea. They're playing tonight. What was your time like at Stamford Bridge?
It was a laugh in one direction, because Geoff Hurst and I were selected to go for Bisham Abbey with a group of other lads to become coaches. And when we got there, Geoff Hurst was there, and I thought, oh, I've got to impress him. So what I did, I said, "You want a cup of tea, Geoff? You want a biscuit, Geoff?" And I was running around. "I'll clean your boots, Geoff. I'll really clean your boots."
Oh, Bob, don't do that. You're not crazy.
This is, I know. True, really true. Anyway, so I said, "Well, anything I can do for you?" He says, "No good." He says, "Yeah, that's good. Anyway, 12 days we were there, and we left on the last one. He says, "Goldie," he says, "if I get a job," he says, "you'll be my number 2. 18 months later, I was number 2 at Chelsea.
Really? Wow. So you had that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. But only amazed because around that time at Chelsea, Geoff Hurst got the job and I was going to sign at that time.
Yeah, they were in the second division, weren't they? They were in the second division. And Geoff, greatly, he went into a board meeting and he said, well, they said, well, what we're going to do? He says, well, back us or sack us. He came out and he says, Gouldy, they sacked us all right.
Well,
hold on now. But the circumstances were that I was selected to put the in three. I was manager for 3 games. I think we lost them all.
I knew you was manager. Yeah. Now listen, it's funny, like talking about films and everything else. You've had that ball up, the one you scored against Manchester United. That you had to. You've had that ever since. What do you think Geoff Hurst has done with that ball? He scored 3 goals in the World Cup final.
I tell you what, it's worth a fortune because I was with him. Last Friday. He was doing the rounds with his a piece of explaining what went on with the World Cup and everything. And Geoff was brilliant. He was brilliant. 82, 83, Al. He's in great shape. I've got to say that. To honour him and everything was fantastic. They had in Bristol it was a real footballing night, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was started off at 7:30. We had to kick them out at 11:30. So
I find it, Bobby. I find it really interesting that you managers and coaches all stick together. You all like. Did you know Geoff very well before you went on the coaching thing?
No, he was. I just admired him for what he accumulated, with what he'd done with his life, and what with West Ham, and how he started off as a defender, and next thing we know, he's scoring goals.
It was the right half. It was the right half. Yeah.
Yeah, like number 4 at number 6.
Well, I followed his career later on because of the Ron Greenwood thing, and it was the last chance saloon they had to give him because he worked that hard at West Ham, and they said, "You're no good anywhere else. Let's try you up front."
Yeah, that was it. He said that he said about that last week at his do, and his memory box is phenomenal. Everybody keeps telling me I'm not quite right upstairs at the moment, because we headed so many balls.
Well, that one you just showed us. No wonder you're alive. Remembering, Christ Almighty. That's why I never headed it, Bob. You didn't need to head it.
Yeah, but like Hurst, he never, his heading ability was there, and he was the hold-up man and everything. So, but
something about Geoff Hurst, the difference in heading and everything else. He never really used to head it; he used to glance it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that was wrong. That was Ron Greenwood, wasn't it? That
was Geoff Hurst. Ron Greenwood couldn't head the ball.
No, because but what I'm trying to say is that he'd learned his own skill, how to transfer that ball past goalkeepers or past centre halves onto wing backs and everything. His goal scoring ratio was phenomenal.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to Stoke and played with him at Stoke, and he was well past his best. He was in training, he was struggling and everything, but he tried to keep himself fit, still liked to drink and everything else, but he was still some player.
Oh yeah, what?
Because you can't beat the experience he had, and Greenhoff was the main player at that time. Jimmy Greenhoff was unbelievable. He was fabulous. Yeah. But Hursty, you could always hit Hursty because he had big shoulders, and he was always in the right place at the right time. And that's why England won the World Cup, because when Bobby Moore put the ball down a couple of times, took 3 kicks, he knew exactly where it was,
Oh, yeah. It was like something where they had a special
realization. You was going to say telepathic.
Yeah, but that's the circumstance. Yeah, but that's the only way. Modern day football, I'm not a great believer. I don't understand it at this moment in time. But the way that our era, Al, we played quite differently. We played a long ball, we played two wingers, we played a left winger, a right winger. But I said to somebody said about modern day football, I said, you've got a goal kick, you've got a goalkeeper in the 6-yard box, you've got a number 2 in the 6-yard box, you've got a number 3 in the 6-yard box, and they're taking a goal kick. And the savvy, I know I'm thick enough as it goes, but my football brain is still there. Don't worry about that. But I can't see the way, Alan, that they're gonna. They don't go for goals. They go for passes and pass and pass and pass.
No, I mean, I think that's the generalisation of everyone in England and all over. Pep Guardiola's won the championship so many times, and I can't watch Man City play because they just overplay. That's only been found out now because he wants his goalkeepers to play as well. Well, goalkeepers can't play football. That's why they gain goals, don't they?
Yeah. Well,
they're back in the queue at school. When they couldn't get a game at school, they used to say, "Well, you go and goal," and that's why goalkeepers are goalkeepers because they can't play football. But Pep Guardiola is now trying to change the game and take let's knock it back. Imagine playing a 1-2 with Peter Shilton. My God.
But today, in my identification of what the game is all about, we were led to believe in our time, Al, we had to score goals. We had to score goals.
Absolutely.
And I counted about a couple of weeks ago, there was, in one of the divisions, there was teams that couldn't score goals. There was 8 teams that never scored a goal. Never scored a goal in a game. It's sacrilege to the game of football. And I get disappointed when, like, the foreign players that are being brought in, what's happening? What happened to you, Al, when you were a youngster? What happened to me when I was a youngster? I left school at 15 and I had a manager. The manager was sacked me, and you're not good enough. Jimmy Hill came in, the bird building, to Coventry City, and he was a bearded wonder, and he made me, Al. He gave me every opportunity because and we had a relationship, and I'd give anything for him. And at 17, I made my debut at Shrewsbury, and then I went on but I can't see the modern day footballer being youngsters like you and me and Ozzy and all the players at Chelsea. I played for Coventry, I played for Arsenal, I played for Wolverhampton Wanderers, I played for West Ham, I played all around. But we were all youngsters come through the ranks. That now they're paying 50 million to bring them in.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the way life is at the moment. Life has gone on. We live in a new world, and but going back, I've got to ask you 2 things. You was assistant with Geoff, who got hat-trick in the World Cup, but you had your 2 best moments would have been in Wembley, wouldn't they?
Wembley. Yeah.
Well, did you have anything to do with Wimbledon when they won the cup? I won it as a manager. I won it as a player, but I never went on the field to play because West Ham, when they beat Fulham 2-0, Sparrow Taylor scored 2 goals, and yours truly, Gouldy, was sat on. I was got splinters on my backside because Ron Greenwood wouldn't let me on the Wembley pitch. So I've got a great record of Wembley. As a manager, won it. As a player, won it, but never been on the field to play. But did you not play against Swindon?
No, I played against Swindon. Yeah, but that pitch, Al, was.
I don't blame the pitch, Bob.
Oh, you don't. Oh, well, yeah, well, I'll
Look
tell
at
you what.
Chelsea and Leeds
I'll tell you what.
1970.
I tell you what, when you get home or you get a picture of that game, and everything was wet, soggy, and that was because they did the London jumping, the horses jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
That was the
what they-
same in 1970 with Chelsea. They had the Horse of the Year show, Harvey Smith and all that mob.
Oh no, now you're talking Horse of the Year show, and because they broke the pipes underneath, and the water wouldn't flow away, and that's what the problem was, and that's where I played at Wembley for Arsenal, and it was like crying. All the players walked on there. We walked to look at the pitch, and we were virtually all crying because there's puddles here, there was mud, sludge, mud. But I came away. We won, and I'd scored a goal. And
Hang on, Bob, you lost. We're talking about the 1968 League Cup final.
Doesn't matter about losing. Playing at Wembley and scoring at Wembley is a big achievement, whether you win or lose. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Scoring at Wembley is a big moment for anyone. So, not so much in.
Yeah.
But
I had another soft period with that game because unfortunately my dad, Roy Gould, he went to the game, but he was blind. He went blind when I was 17, and unfortunately he didn't see me play. But my brother Trevor, who played for Northampton, he played for England schoolboys, and my dad went to there. But my mum was Scottish, and so she was Scottish. Trevor was playing in the England schoolboys against Scotland at Wembley, and my brother beat me to be there. And the circumstances were that my granddad, the Scottish one, Rob Morton, he went to the game, and he went up to my brother, because he's English. He says, "I hope you play well, but you're not going to win." And that was just for a schoolboy game, but it landed there with the Gould family, and that's where Wembley stays with us, to be perfectly honest.
Looking at your playing career as a whole, Bob, that must have been one of the highlights, scoring at Wembley in that cup final?
Yeah, the cup final. So West Ham, I bought Alan Taylor. He came from nowhere, really. And the circumstances were that Alan took my shirt and number 10 and everything. So we're 2-0 up against Fulham. And all of a sudden, I thought, I've got to get on. And so I had a coughing back. And, like the little dugouts there, they were close to each other. And Ron Greenwood turned around and says, "Gouldy," he said, "you can cough as much as you like, but you're not going on that field of play."
But I never knew that. Bobby Moore played, yeah?
Yeah. So I understand where he was coming from, So I love Wembley, and Geoff loved Wembley, and
well, Wembley made Geoff. Wembley made Geoff. Yeah. Wembley.
Yeah. No doubt about that. And it's we look back with the history and everything, and things that we can remember, and how many goals did we score? What I did, Al, I've got them all here on my table, and I've got a scrapbook where I have actually written down every game I played as a youngster for Coventry City reserves and everything, and I went all the way throughout my career from making a debut in 1967, and it's come out. It came out at the end, and it's I know every day, every Saturday, every Monday or whatever, I've got it all written down, and it gives me a lot of pleasure when you go back and you study where you were, how many goals you scored, how good were you on that day, and everything. And I've got you two a lot. You'll like this. I've got an office in my loft, and the good lady in the house, Marjorie, locked me in, and And that's my own office. I can go up there and think of all the happy memories of being a professional footballer. And I think Alan and myself, you know, we share that responsibility of being a professional.
I've got to say one thing, mate. I think you are someone who come through the ranks as a kid. You live and sleep football, don't you? To make notes about every game you played in as a kid and all that. And I mean, I used to do that when I used to be at Fulham QPR. But I used to. A friend of mine said, to improve your English, report on the games after, and I had scrapbooks about somebody else, players I loved. But you do it about yourself, which is great to remember, look back and remember that game. And so you must have really, people don't embrace the game like that no more, you know?
Yeah, but I was turned down at 15, and the managers who got rid of me, and Jimmy Hill came in, and he was a delightful person, you know, and everything. But he took Alan Dix with him, who was at Chelsea, and he was a centre half, and Dixie was Jimmy Hill's number 2. As like football is, Alan went on to manage Bristol City, and he was having a rough time, and then he said, would you come to Bristol? And I said, yeah. I was at West Brom, and I was having a lean time at West Brom. You've got to acknowledge yourself. And so I went down to Bristol City, and that was a development, you know, of once again, you know, players being renowned by the coaching staff and everything. And that's how football used to be. You know, they played, they managed, they coached, and everything else. And the knowledge of the people in that era was phenomenal, really.
Bobby, can I ask you a question about your playing days? I mean, obviously you played most of the time up front. How would you characterise your style of play as a centre forward?
A brave bastard. There weren't two. There was, you know, there's number 5 and number 6. One used to knock you up in the air, and as you're coming down, and I'll name him, Norman Hunter just stood on my calf. I'm rolling. They roll in agony now, and it's not a foul or anything. I was rolling, and like my calf was blowing up like there was no tomorrow. But people, you know, it's like we can look back now, and that's why Alan and I we can look back and thinking of the good games or the bad games, and we didn't do that. You know, how much are they getting now a week? £50,000 a week.
Well, strangely enough, I was just going to ask you: did you ever, when you were saying you went from here to there, did you ever did you go for the move itself or for the money? Because I never, every time I moved, I never negotiated a contract. I just went.
Yeah, it was 5%.
Money never bothered me.
Yeah, we only got 5%. What it didn't bother me if I
was overpaid, Bob.
Pardon? It didn't bother me. I never thought about money then. I just wanted to play football.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a wife. You know, we used to have. I think she had about 7 houses. And she was moving around, and the 2 lads, Jonathan, who's became a goalkeeper for Celtic and Scotland, and that was because of my granddad, and all these stories. You know, they're never released out. Who you were with, who you shared it with. Remember George Curtis? Oh,
yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, he took me under his wing because I was youngster. I was only like 18 or 19, and so I remember the film Odd Job. Odd Job. When Odd Job. Well,
he would like him. Yeah, he would like him.
Okay, so we go to play Southampton. Jimmy Hill said, right, you can go to the pictures. So we had the Odd Job film, And I said to George, I says, "You're going to be Odd Job, you are." He says, "What do you mean you're going to be Odd Job?" I said, "You're just like Odd Job, you are. I'm going to call you Odd Job." He said, "Don't you dare do that, you little whippersnapper." So
He
anyway,
was a regular.
so yeah, but I was his roommate for that. I was with his roommate. He put me under his wing when we had two single beds, and I says, "Odd Job." He said, "That's it. I've had enough." He gave me the eye down. He gave me a pillar, and he says, "Get in the corridor. Get in the corridor." So I had to go in the corridor, put the cushion there, pull the eiderdown up, and I was just about to drop off, and Jimmy Hill walked up. It's a true story. And he said, "What are you doing out here?" I said, I keep calling him Odd Job, JH, and he kicked me out.
Did you ever make it? Did you ever make it back to the bedroom?
Sorry?
Did you ever make it back to the bedroom?
Oh, just about. Oh, yeah. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do anything to upset Mr. Hill. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, but these are, what I've referred earlier. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that could make people laugh or say, "We've done this. Listen, I didn't do that. I wish I'd have done that," and everything. I had Don Howe with me, and he was a coach of Bertie Mee when I went there in 1967. Paid 60,000, moved on 3 years later, went to Wolverhampton Wanderers for 60,000, and during that time, you got 5% of your transfer fee. So. I've got a great wife of 58 years. We're still together after 58 years, mate. No, I never know. I really
She's
never
a
know.
hero, mate. She's a hero.
Oh, don't you miss the chicken, you?
She's a hero. She's got you back on screen.
I'll tell her that.
Rob, if you can, just try and keep your phone steady so we get because you're jiggling up and down a bit.
Yeah, well, I'm living by the sea here.
It's
the Bristol Channel, and the tide's just going out.
Well, let's talk about your managerial career. How did it start for you?
I enjoyed it. It was a challenge. You needed a good number two by you, and I had Don Howe, and we took on the Crazy Gang, and he was brilliant with them. His knowledge, his understanding, his appreciation, and they just when I brought him in, he was out of work, and Sam Aman gave me the opportunity, and I said, "There's only one number two, and that's Don Howe," and he was driving.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
Yeah, different class.
I know. Yeah.
Different class, and the way
He was the best. He was the best.
Yeah, and the way the lads responded to him as well, and it was just. I was just the manager. I worked closely with Sam Aman because Sam wanted all his information, and Geoff, there's remember the Gascoigne one.
With Vinnie Jones, you mean?
The way, yeah. With Vincent, when Vincent was, we were going up to Newcastle, and Don says, "What we're going to do with that little number 10 at Newcastle?" I said, "Well, what do you think?" He says, "We got to clear him out. I said, "Okay." So we had a practice match. And we had a practice match, and we identified the Newcastle player, and we put a young kid on him, and then Vincent went on him. Vincent, I always call him Vincent. So Vincent went on man to man, and all of a sudden he says, "What happens if he gets behind me?" And I says, "He grabs his you know what." And they got the picture of that, and it's been a picture that's live for life. So many years.
That made him.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah, but it's having people around you, and it's like you two lads today and everything. It's having that rapport and understanding, and it's the same with marriage, isn't it?
How difficult or easy Was it to manage those guys? Because you had some big egos in that Wimbledon changing room.
No. They were just lovely. Look, you put Don Howe in there. The mouths are wide open. You know, they just is Don Howe actually coaching me and trying to make me a better player, and that was it. And I realised that.
So it was your. When
Sorry?
Sam and Man give you the job at Wimbledon, it was your decision to bring Don Howe in.
Oh yeah. It's another dream, isn't it? You know, you're going back to Wembley, and I've got a lovely picture of myself, and I'm not being egotistic or anything, but I'm walking off Wembley with the bottom of the FA Cup, which has got all the names of all the teams that have won it, and to think that you're going to put Wimbledon's name on there is quite incredulous, really. And I wouldn't let anybody go of that FA base. A lot of people want the cup. I didn't. I wanted the base. I wanted to see every team that had acknowledged that they'd won the FA Cup.
I told you love football. You're a football fanatic.
Yeah, but
do you actually think? Let me ask you one serious question. Do you think Wimbledon would have won the cup without Don?
No. At 5 o'clock on Friday, after finishing now, I said to Harry, I said, "You got 5 minutes." He says, "Okay, I'm going to practice penalties with Dave Besant." They practiced penalties for 10 minutes. I said, "Look, you lot," I says, "it's 5 o'clock. Get your asses inside." I says, "And what happens on the Saturday? Penalty for Liverpool. Manchester, Lurch goes up, they take the penalty, and he makes a wonderful save." And that is the dedication, that is the love, that is the passion that Don Howe gave to those Wimbledon players, whether it was the first team or whether it was a reserve team or whether it was a youth team as well.
He's probably one of the greatest people I've ever met. In the 3 best people I've ever met in the game. I was at Arsenal with him for 6 months, and he was just massive. If it hadn't have been for another friend of yours, Terry Neal, I fell out with him, and Don pleaded me not to go. I went, "I just can't do it no more, mate." And I wanted to stay because of Don. He was wonderful, wonderful man.
Yeah. Happy.
And your decision to bring him in at Wimbledon, mate, should go down in folklore, because that was a decision that won Wimbledon the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Because there was no other coach like him.
No. Yeah. Not many people know this, but when you go into the dressing room, the referee and the 2 linesmen come in to vet the time and see what's going on. Anyway, so they said, "Oh, the referee and the 2 linesmen are coming in." He says, "Okay, everybody, including management, put your clocks back 10 minutes. And they all looked at me, and I said, "It's Don. Don knows what he's doing." So he put everybody puts the watches, staff and everything. So put your watches back. So what happens was, the referee came into our dressing room. Liverpool were standing in the tunnel, and Don said, and they said, "Well, come on." No, Don says, you've got this wrong. 10 minutes. No, we'll come out in 10 minutes because that's the real time. so we kept Liverpool waiting 10 minutes and the referee. So little things make big things at times.
Well, you've both got talking of Don Howe, you've both got the history of being former Arsenal players. Tell us, both of you, tell us a bit about Arsenal and the mystique of Arsenal and what it meant to you.
Coventry City got promotion from the 2nd division to the 1st division. Jimmy Hill left Coventry, and Arsenal came looking at me because I scored 24 goals in the year that Coventry City got promoted, and they came and they looked at me, and Don Howe, and I'm not sure whether Don watched me or not, but anyway, they bid 75,000 in 1967, and the chairman Derek Robbins says no, we're not taking that. We'll take 90,000. So I went from Coventry to Arsenal for 90,000 in 1967. I got 5% of the money.
You still got it.
Yeah, it's 5%. We could buy a house then in New
You got
Barnet.
also then.
Anyway, so I went to Arsenal, and it was another education. Like, you had George Graham, you had Frank McClintock, you had Geordie Armstrong, you had the biggest mate who's been my mucker has been Bob Wilson. He's been a great friend to me. Wonderful. Margin, the late is Willow's wife.
Bit special, mate. Bit special, man.
Yeah, it was a special time, and you know, like Don was he was a coach, and Bertie Mee he was never involved in football management or coaching, and he just let Don take it, and they were very successful under Don.
Well, it was the most unique management team. It was the most unique management team of all time. One was a physiotherapist.
Oh yeah, George Wright.
Don Bertie Mee was a physio.
Yeah.
And he brought Don in. He's gone again. He's probably centre forward, isn't he? Keeps coming and going.
Yeah.
Try and get yourself back on camera, Bob. Oh, there you are. Well done.
You see, I'm quite clever then. I was quite clever because I judged it coming in and I pressed the right knob.
You timed your run into the box perfectly.
Yeah, so don't you two lay into me, because I accepted that responsibility.
But Bobby, what I was saying is, you know, you was at Arsenal at a time when they got to be the greatest partnership of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
Bertie Mee and Don Howe. I mean, and later on, Don went up to do that with you at Wimbledon. Bertie Mee went on to work with Graham Taylor at Watford, which was under the radar, and done a great job there. He was a great football man. Alan Ball told me a lot about Bertie Mee, which was fabulous. Great man, you know. So there were two great men together at Arsenal.
Yes, there was. You know, I went to West Ham. I love being at West Ham. I got to say that. One touch football.
Well, you would, wouldn't you? You would.
Sorry.
You would. You all the World Cup winners, all that.
Oh yeah. I sat in the dressing room, in the training dressing room now. Who walked in? I was on my own. It was Bobby Moore. What do I call him? You know, how do I address him and all that? You know, there I am. Ron Green was just paid 60 grand at 60 grand at Bristol City, where I was, and one-on-one with Will Cup with captain and everything else. Milt Morrow was lovely. He was so gentle and so nice. I went up one game and said, "Fucking kick him." And he jumped up like that. He went, "Tut tut, Goldie."
Well, you've hit all the right notes with me on this show, because you know you mentioned how great Bobby is. I love Bobby. He was so big influence on me. Don Howe was a big influence on me. Never met Bertie Mee, but what he did was phenomenal, I thought. And I think Arsenal winning a double. I mean, because we played Arsenal the year before, I think, when we won the cup and all that. And
yeah.
And they were never. We battered up. We beat them easy, and they got a team together, which was fantastic.
It's the balance, you know, having been a manager and identified the managers I was with. I identified you had to have balance, the proper balance, you know, of the coaching staff as well. If you wanted somebody that was a good jovial person and, you know, would keep the players happy, and, you know, if you were going through a rough time, then it would just encourage players in their it wasn't sly, but, you know, it was just making people happier, you know, or taking somebody out and practicing with them, saying, look, you're a little bit weak here, you've got to encourage yourself there. And that's how I believe that football clubs, you know, whether they're run like that, I'm not sure, because of all the language, what different language you've got in the dressing room at this moment in time. And those were the days, you know, we had Scottish, Irish, Welsh, and English.
Well, they were the foreigners, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then later on, you know, the influx of outsiders, overseas players came in. We played, the foreigners were Scottish and Irish and Welsh.
Yeah, but that was our era. You know, my son played for Scotland. I've got a grandson now. He's at Yeovil. He's a goalkeeper. It's been in the Gould blood, you know, and that started years back. I went to see my father play for Singer Motors in Coventry, and when he was a number 4, and he played every Saturday afternoon. And then my granddad Gould, he had a trial for Aston Villa, and God knows how long ago that was. Like, it had been in the early 19th centuries. And you know, sometimes you just find that blood in your system. How did you play? Who was the best coach you played for, Al?
Well, it was Don. The time I spent with Don was unbelievable. It was the magic of Don Howe was simplicity.
Simplicity is genius.
Simplicity, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what Don done. He didn't want anyone to do anything special. He just wanted anyone to do what I had to do, and then the ones that could do a little bit more, do it. And he didn't care about reputations. He used to tell Malcolm MacDonald, oi. You know, Liam Brady would say to him, you're holding on to it too long. He didn't care about reputations. Don was straight as they come. And I've been on the other end of one of his attacks, mate. Around, whoa.
Just imagine Vincent Jones and Don Howe.
Well, Don would have found a way to beat him. He'd put a plastic bag over his head or something.
Well, Bobby, tell us, what was the dynamic between Vinnie Jones and Don Howe?
Vincent couldn't get enough of him. He wanted all the information. He wanted everything. He virtually sucked it out of Don, because he knew what that man was a special identity. He's not as a manager, as a coach. And with Vincent was that he loved him. And all the players that I had at Wimbledon, the amount of respect they had for him was phenomenal, and it was fantastic, really.
Tell us, we've got to touch before we go. We've got to touch on your time as manager of Wales. Tell us a bit about that period in your career.
The biggest mistake of my life. It was a mistake. Circumstances were that I've got to say it, that I was approached by the chairman. The chairman says, we've got a handful, we've got a few problems. You and Don seem to have sorted out at Wimbledon. Would you like to come and manage Wales? I made the decision to go, and to be perfectly honest, I hadn't been down that road. I wasn't an international footballer, and it was a mistake. It was a mistake, and I'll admit that to the Welsh people, and the recognition of that. I tried to work. I brought Don Howe down with me. Unfortunately, unfortunately, you know, and it was a travelling with Don and everything. But there we are. it was a
Yeah,
mistake.
you got to be able to sing. If you go to Wales, you got to be able to sing.
Yeah, yeah. But but Al, I'd never been at international level. I hadn't played at that level. I hadn't, I hadn't been involved at that level. I know I was naive. I was international. I was naive of it. And I'm sorry. I apologise, and I apologise to the Welsh players. I apologise to the Welsh supporters, and I just wish them well. And as a little young man in charge at the moment, I'm watching him very carefully.
Well done, mate. Well done. Well done.
He loved football. He's passionate, and he was educated through the Welsh school of coming up. And I just sincerely wish him all the best in the years to come.
It must have been a good experience though to work with some of those Welsh players at the time. I mean, people like Ryan Giggs and players like that. I mean, what was it like managing those guys?
Yes.
Yes.
That's all you're getting out of me. Yes.
Yes. Well, strangely enough, I will change the subject a little bit. Me and my son Alan, we were in Marbella at the moment, and we was in a bar the other night. Our first night here was in Sinatra's bar, and we met two Welsh people. And we were talking, and they were talking. One was rugby, but he was a rugby man. She was a nice young lady, and we were talking about playing with great friend of mine, was Ron Davis. The Welsh players like Ron Davis, Wyn Davis,
Big Wyn, yeah.
Yeah, but Ron was a superstar,
Yeah. Yeah. They have had good players. There's no doubt about that. They had a super ground to play in and everything. It was that was it. And the circumstances are. Thanks for the effort. It's very difficult. The lad that's managing England at the moment. What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah. So go back a little bit. You was at Arsenal with Mel Charles?
No. I'm not.
But did you ever come across John Charles?
No, I don't think one of them kicked me.
Yeah. That might be where you got that old.
But I couldn't turn around and look at them like your midfield players. You had it easy. You did. I had to face the ball. You could see the ball. You midfielders.
Well, I never used to head the ball, mate. Didn't need to head the ball. That ball you got, mate, you had that. No wonder you couldn't get the bling working today.
Listen, I've got dementia. I've had two.
No, don't say that. Don't even joke about it. Don't joke about it.
You've got to see the funny side of it as well.
Well, it's funny, but it is. But it's the showing the football is quite amazing. All right, you scored a hat-trick with that. But do you still put dubbing on it and all that?
I put dumbing on my I put dumbing on my boots, you old.
So that was who played for Manchester United that day?
Sorry?
When you got that hat trick against Manchester United, you got that ball. Who played for Manchester United?
Who was marking me? I didn't look at them. I didn't look.
No, who played with them? Did
listen? I'll have to go and get my program, and I'll let you
Bobby
know.
Charlton?
I'll let you know, Al.
Oh, you let me know. Email me. Oh, you got one of those. You ain't got one of those pictures, have you?
Okay. No. I'm not that old. I'm 79, going on 80.
Before we finish, are you still interested in horses?
Race horses? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had one homemaker, and she won at 40 to 1 at Warwick the first time out, and I went into the ring to get me winnings, and I got booed by everybody. No, it was something from my Scottish grandfather, to be perfectly honest. Bob Morton, he came down from Scotland. He went to Coventry Binley pit and everything, and my granddad used to gamble in the on Saturdays, and I used to go with him, and he educated me into gambling, and it frightened me away.
The reason I asked, because it was the last time I see you was at the races. It was
Yeah,
and
we're going back a few years. You'd like to know the good ladies. She got all the washing in.
Tell them that Lou's at Goodwood.
Sorry?
Tell them about Louise at Goodwood.
Oh, yeah. We got Louise, one of my granddaughters. She's at Goodwood Racecourse. She works there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was at Tottenham as the with the ladies' football. She was with all the information to the media and everything. So I don't know. She doesn't get it off me, all these brains and all that, because I never participated in a brains competition. I've got two more. Jonathan and Richard, my sons. They've both been wonderful lads, but great lads and everything. Jonathan's at football, and Richard's with the ECB, the I call it MCC. She's introduced herself.
CEO of English football.
He's the ECO of you said football, cricket.
Yes, cricket. He's the chief executive of the England and Wales Cricket Board now. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think yeah. That rings a bell.
Okay, now, any more questions for Bob before we let him go?
No, it's been great. It's been great to see you. But your story is wonderful. I love, we see these footballers, the next footballers, and they're money mad. But you got so much passion and everything, and you said what I've done with make notes when you was a kid and all. And getting to Wembley was a dream. And said, yeah, it was a dream. I wasn't like that. It was no dream for me. It just happened, I think it's tremendous what your love for the game and your passion for the game is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it's great to see you.
It's lovely to see you. Keep well. And the art of life is keep reading.
Absolutely. I know.